Yes, indeed. Salute to Shannon Sharp. Um, Definitely, as we're up and coming on our podcast endeavors, probably the one of the biggest, best podcasters, content creators out there. They recently did an interview with Oscar De La Hoya, one of the most world-renowned famous boxers. Um, and they talked about a myriad of things, his career, what he thinks of some of the current boxers. It was so a numerous amount of things. And one uh, minor, quote unquote, thing that happened to Oscar De La Hoya's career, sorry. Career, if we all recall, the infamous photo shoot, and where the brother was not necessarily being seen in the best light. We'll play a little bit of his explanation for this photo shoot, if y'all recall.
Oscar, you had to be. Oscar, why you let him snap that picture?
Which one?
The 15 years ago, the picture you was talking about.
Oh, I was drugged up. Yeah, I was drugged up. I didn't even know it.
You didn't know you had put the pantyhose on?
No. Have you ever tried it?
No, hell no. They
Are
gonna
you
make
sure?
me put pantyhose
Are you
on.
sure?
Hell no, I ain't gonna try. I ain't gonna try it either.
Okay. Think about it. To get those pantyhose on,
Yeah,
God damn it.
but
It'll take like 2 hours.
But that's what I'm-
sober.
Oscar.
Yeah.
You had to go by the size when you was not sober.
No.
When you was sober.
What happened was, and I've talked about this a lot in my documentary too, because I'm open about it. I don't give a fuck. I was getting with bad people, this and that. 2 women come in my room with a suitcase. That's all I remember. And after that, I wake up the next
What was
day.
in the suitcase?
Well, women's clothes.
Oh,
Yeah, women's clothes, drugs, this, that. Yeah, they set me up. But it's okay. It happened. So what?
It
It happened? What the fuck?
Pause it.
during your career.
It happens.
You're literally the only guy. Like,
He's just nonchalant like that.
You never just at a function, 2 girls pull up with a suitcase and then it happens. That never happened to y'all?
that's crazy.
I guess you at least gotta salute them for the transparency.
I don't know, dog.
Sorry,
It's
my
like a
bad.
cover up to me.
Go ahead, Ghost.
My internet is like spazzing out. I don't know if you just asked a question. I'm good
Nah.
now.
Yeah. It was,
Okay.
Always remember we're working on budget equipment over here, but we still get it done. Still high quality content. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I mean, he's loose and transparent about it. I guess you gotta give him maybe credit for that. But obviously, and it, like you said, it happened several years ago. At this point, a lot of people don't necessarily remember at the forefront, but it's one of those things where, for better or for worse, he's definitely a person where if he ever bumps into any type of controversy or if he ever says something even slightly slick, there's always going to be a person to say, "This you?" And yeah, I mean, many people all throughout history have that, but as a man, typically you want to have the "ain't this you" not be something that really makes you look bad as far as your masculinity or your credibility, if that makes sense. So I mean, I don't know. There's maybe not much to talk about. When I bumped into this, again, Schuster and Shannon Sharp creating very, you're probably getting content that most people aren't getting. When you see this, and maybe now years later, and maybe hearing the explanation, what do you think of the dynamic of? Because as we all know, respect means a lot for men. It means a lot for people in general, but respect means a lot, especially for men. And do you think there are actions, say for example this, that could make a man lose respect in your eyes, like you lose respect for a man? And can an explanation like his, for example, can it make this story make sense and for you effectively to potentially respect him again? Essentially, do you think respect can be lost based off something like this, and again, returns, so to speak? What do you think, Ace?
Yes to both. I think respect can definitely be lost for something like this, and
A little wild night.
there is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be the kind of the first instinct for most people to lose respect was off of seeing something like this. But um, gaining the respect, I think, is possible too. Again, but it would have to come from the person just basically owning it and um, just conveying that, and I guess I should say, like, my issue with this video is it doesn't seem like he's being honest even now, like, or transparent, saying they set him up. It's just like it's kind of
Wait,
like he's
you're not
he's
believing that?
no, not really. No, not in the way that where like somebody deliberately drugged him and for the purpose of just to take photos of him with lingerie on. Like,
Could have been for
that sounds a
blackmail
little.
purposes, like
It's
extortion.
still,
It's like a perfect setup. You drug someone, take the pictures of them in a compromised position like this,
but he didn't say
threaten to
that.
circulate them. I
He
mean,
hasn't said that though.
And also,
it's
We-
possible that he just
it
decided not to go forward or say put the
But I
pictures
would
out.
say, like, if that was the situation,
technically he
firstly, I
said.
wouldn't.
Sorry, real
Go
quick.
ahead.
Technically, he said that the night happened, and then he woke up and it was on the internet. So unless they tried to extort him while he
Oh,
was
Right.
sleeping or out of his
Yeah.
mind,
well, yeah, yeah.
seemed like they just put
Yeah. It
that's
just
out
seems
immediately.
right.
Sorry, let's go ahead.
The way he's talking about it, like his tone, where it's very nonchalant, but at the same time, it doesn't really seem true. Like it's almost like he's too dismissive for something that sounds pretty serious. If somebody drugged you, you can't remember a single thing that happened, and you woke up with these lingerie pictures on the internet. Like, I wouldn't even like, I would expect him to take a more serious tone about it if it was um something that was that serious. But
I mean, he
he's
said it
being
was
nonchalant
15
about
years
it.
ago. At this
Still,
point, he's
like,
probably heard everything there is to hear and discussed it ad nauseum. Although I admit I never heard of this at all, but I feel like maybe a part of that him not caring is that it's been so long that he's just like whatever about it that happened. But
I suppose that
I
could
don't
be a
know.
thing. And me coming at it from not, I don't remember this at all. So, it could just be that um that I'm coming at it from the perspective of not having heard it, but to me it just seemed a little bit too dismissive and a little, it was like far fetched. Like, dog, just is it, it it seems more likely that, like, he did take some drugs or whatever. He did some stuff that he regretted, and that was that. But not like they set me up and they put these clothes on me, and then he's talking about how hard it would be to get the clothes on him sober, but he was apparently drugged, so it must have been even that much harder. But they still did it. Like, it seems far fetched. So this is why I couldn't, like, for me, this doesn't um exonerate the goofiness of this situation. Like, you're not, because he's not, to me it doesn't seem like he's really owning what happened. I still I still, like, have lost the little respect. I mean, he's not somebody I think about all the time, or really
Yeah,
at
we're not
all.
talking
And
about him.
like I
I'm
said, I
not
didn't
asking you
know about
guys.
this.
We're not asking you respect him. I'm just talking about, like, if
Yeah,
a man in general.
yeah. So yeah, if I was aware of this before, then this wouldn't have changed anything. But in general, like, I do think it's possible, as long as you um truly own up to what you did. Truly own up to what happened. Like, we are human, so regardless, so people do some wild stuff, especially when they're young. But um, yeah, owning up to it is He,
I mean, what is young? I mean, 15 years ago.
yeah, he does look pretty old in this.
I think he would have still been like 20s, late 20s.
Yeah.
But fair enough, fair enough. I largely agree with what you were saying, and even with the understanding of like what Ghost said, if it seems like with it has a lot to do with the time and how long ago quote unquote happened, why he has a more lax attitude about it. Um,
Mm.
but yeah. What about you, Ghost? What are other thoughts in general? If you think there are actions similar to this that would make you lose respect for a man, or make a man lose respect in general, and then can you earn it back?
Um, I think respect is an interesting word because for me, like, I kind of have a separate. I don't. What I think about respecting someone as a person, I'm generally thinking about like their actions toward other people, not
Mm.
necessarily their private life. If
Well,
we're talking about
well, this
like
ain't private, but I know what you mean though.
if we're talking about his inclinations or his masculinity or if he's effeminate, I I think I mean something like this would put it into question. Like I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time I've ever seen the picture, and I was like, my first thought was like, oh, he's like
Oh yeah, I
that.
remember this. This. He was
I
like one of the
I
biggest boxers in the world at the time.
I remember Oscar Hoya. I literally do not. I have never seen this story at all. So, and I've never seen this picture. So, my first thought was like, oh, he's like that. But I don't. I kind of think of it separately as like I don't have any level of respect or non-respect for him as a person. If we're just talking about his manhood, then I mean, it's like until proven otherwise, if this is all that I see, I would assume that you got some inclinations. That's not. It's not my business, which is why I say that I haven't lost respect for him at all. If we're just looking purely at it from like an outside looking in, like, do you think that bro has got some certain preferences? Then yeah, I, as I don't, I maybe this interview maybe would help with my perception if I even cared about how I perceive him in the fashion of what he likes to do in his private time. Although we did kind of just poke a few holes in his whole story there, but I don't know. It's just I see this and it's like whatever, but I think it is. I'm kind of not for anyone's private, personal habits or what they get into, unless it's heinous and unless it's harming other people. I don't want to even know about it, whether it's good or bad. So that's kind of how I look at this. So I don't equate anything that he does in whatever capacity wearing these pantyhose
Jesus.
as a positive or negative indictment on him as a person, just because I think of that separately as uh, what you uh, what you like to get into.
Mm.
So I guess to answer your question, like if it was, for example, let's say God forbid there was a video of him beating on someone and like
Well, he's a boxer,
causing
so
harm.
you can easily find a video of him beating on somebody.
Fair enough. I mean in more of like a
Domestic.
domestic abuse or
Mm.
just something that's like out of pocket and like yeah, that's fucked up. You shouldn't be doing that. That is something that would, if I saw that, make me lose respect for him as a person. And
Sorry.
I don't know if there's video proof or photo evidence of something showing you to maybe not be a bad person, but at this moment in time you're doing something that was extremely wrong. It would probably take more than a 30-second interview to make me change my mindset on them. But again, I'm not dedicating a whole lot of time to whether or not someone's a good or bad person.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if I have that first impression based on some one of your actions, then I'm gonna kind of have that ingrained in the back of my head until I see like hard proof otherwise. And this is obviously different. Well, it's different to an extent if you know the person. Like, let's say I've known him for my entire life and I think of him in a certain way, and then something comes out where he was doing something that was out of pocket, then it would be kind of a mixed bag of, I think all this time I thought you were a good person, but you did this thing. Does this make me look back on all our previous interactions negatively? To some extent, do would I have a in the future like a mindset more open to forgiveness based on our previous interactions? I would say yes as well. So it kind of depends.
Hmm.
Cases like this where it's like I really do not care about celebrities' personal lives at all. So
I think
it, it would kind of be different if I knew the person
I think I
myself.
in general do pick up what you're putting down. I mean, first and foremost, you're just of the general stance of like, my name is Bennett and I ain't in it, which I can relate to that. There's a couple of things, but one, I guess the most important thing I want to ask. So, are you essentially saying that unless something is like pretty much on point, and this is obviously subjective, but like morally right or wrong, that's the pretty much the only thing that can influence your level of respect for somebody?
That what's the thing that would influence my level of respect for them? So I
If
missed
something
that.
is quote unquote morally right or wrong.
Oh, so you're, yeah. I mean, I would say yeah, just because it's like everyone has. I, I don't know about this analogy, but if if it come like if I find out that like a coworker is into Magic the Gathering or something, in my
So
mind
to all
that's
our listeners that are into magic.
in my mind that's kind of like, okay, you like this in your private time. It's not really work related, or it's not relevant to what I interact with you for. So it is what it is. And I found out that this coworker was also into cross dressing or something crazy. I I kind of, I don't want to say I look at them the same because I don't necessarily.
I don't like you lose respect for them.
I might play Magic the Gathering. I'm definitely not going to cross dress. However, again, as far as like the respect thing, I just when I think of respect in my head, I just think of like, do I respect you as a good person? That's what I really look at it as.
So
And
yes, so like I was saying, your respect the way you view it is based on morally right or morally wrong.
I would say yes, and with my sense of morals,
Yeah.
because it's different for everyone. But I would say yeah, because I don't know, it's just hard for me to call someone a bad person
Well, the thing
based
is,
on a photo like this.
I think the way other people might, I don't know if it's a major or minor minority will look at it is, respect having losing respect for them doesn't necessarily have to be on like a moral plane. I mean, some people could say what he's calling
Yeah,
people.
that is true. Like this is kind of just coming from my point of view, but
Right.
I get some people would think of respect as like, do I respect this person like as a conventional man, like your level of masculinity. And that's what they kind of put more into as far as respect goes. And then something like this would kind of knock them down in their eyes. But just for me, it's kind of different.
Yeah, this is the type of thing where we could probably like go down a million different rabbit holes and like when you started talking about like the Magic Gathering like cross dressing example, I was like, I mean that's pretty well, a lot of people, especially a lot of Israelites, would deem as egregious. But first thing that comes to mind, what about if you one of your homeboys is a furry or whatever the case may be? You quote
Oh
unquote
my
lose
God.
respect for them. Um,
See, that's another thing where I don't I don't lose respect for you like if you're a good or bad person. But I think it might impact like how much I want to hang out with you, because it's like I'm trying to think of, because I've had this fleeting thought in the past, like what if what if
That's
one
the
of y'all was like a furry or some
Mm,
shit?
Chris,
don't no
why do you
there's
have
no
these
there's no
thoughts,
need
dude?
there's
Like,
no need to
Bro,
even put that on us. I
I'm okay.
I think as a person
I'm
that
not.
comes on your
I
podcast, you
literally.
can think of examples without putting us in the same sentence.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like I thought of like okay, Ace specifically. No, it's just more of like
I like how you keep.
what if my friends was a furry or something like that. I'll keep it general. Eh, I don't. I wouldn't think that you're a bad person, but I would be. I probably wouldn't want to hang out with you because it's weird to me. It doesn't make you a bad person, but if that's your interest, I am pretty vehemently like not for that. So it just feels
Mm,
like something that's
I don't know.
you
We
know.
gotta let some talk about. So I won't dig too deep, but it does seem like I don't know. It seems like that's potentially like skating the line. Because if you have no negative disposition to a person or lack of respect, then one could question why would you feel a lack of this? What lowers your lack of interest in being around that person or being associated with that person?
Well,
If you truly want
when
to
you
say it's
say
two different
by
categories,
okay, I was
sorry, go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say you said disposition. I would say my disposition towards you would change. Like when I think of like, do I want to hang out with this person? Like I want to be friendly with them, which I mean I don't do because I don't put the thought into that. But if I was thinking along those lines, then like your interests, what you're into, what you're not into would come into play. So my disposition towards someone that's into something that I am not for would definitely change. But if I'm respecting them as a good or bad person, that's kind of remains unchanged. That's independent of like if do I want to hang out with you, be your friend, versus do I think you're a bad person? It's separate in my mind.
Dang, I don't know. This is something. It seems easy. I'm not one of the people that love debate, except when like us, except when it's really for content. But I don't know. I think what a lot of people would make the case or would argue for is that in order for men to be a decent level of cordial or to have a decent level of connection, I think respect is fundamental. If you're truly putting them in different categories, I actually tend to believe you. But I think there is a base level of respect that men give one another and have for one another to be cordial. Like we are not we and us, but I think most men can be cool with each other because obviously experiences they have, similarities. But there is a decent level of respect there, and I think it's kind of hard to remove it. Um, but still be cool or cordial with them. If you're not cool or cordial with them, it's usually because there is a lack of respect. If it's truly
I
well, just real quick, if it truly is just because of a lack of interest, again, that's not too unfathomable. I think for most people, respect is just intimately tied with how men view each other, and even
I,
how women view men to a certain extent.
I see what you're saying, and like I think you're correct. I think for me, just in my head, the hang up is the word respect and how I define it, because respecting someone in my head as a good or bad person is
Yeah,
kind of separate
yeah.
from respecting them as a man. And that is what you were going into, where like if I don't respect you as a man, I might not think you're like a bad person, but I'm not really gonna vibe with you because that there has to be a baseline level of that there in order for us to uh be on the same wavelength. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that the equivalent word is. It's just kind of like conceptually I get what you're saying. It's just kind of a different definition for
Mm-hmm.
me as far as that goes.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, I actually can very much understand your view, and I think you're absolutely. I believe that you believe that, or see it that way rather. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, ultimately speaking, like I said, I think for a lot of men, you do have to have a baseline level of respect for them to be cordial with them, and I think in general, respect can be earned if it's lost, but I think that might be an opinion not everyone shares. You have to really pull yourself back from that, and I think if your explanation is that one such as this, unless somebody's also in that world where they just so some girls coming over and next thing you know happen, unless they're in that type of lifestyle, I think most men, which most men aren't, they're not going to be on board with this type of explanation and or like a lot of people and I think Oscar is familiar with this. A lot of people just don't respect him the way they used to respect him, and obviously he's in a point of his life where he doesn't really care about that type of stuff, but it is what it is. So yeah, the moral story is, hey man, you know, as a man, your respect is part of your social currency. Just be aware. But if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic.
Do we want to finish it? Interview? I mean, the section or no? So it's good.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything.
We did kind of gloss by the fact that he had asked Shannon if he did it. Like, bro, his story is like, you wouldn't ask that question if it was completely without your consent, bro. Like,
Exactly.
nah,
Yes,
like he put out the feelers first to say,
right.
and then nah.
The thing is, and I'm not in any way trying to shoot him bail. If I were to try to like give some type of more context how this situation could have gone, obviously he's not denying that he knew drugs were coming or drugs would be involved in the interaction. He's not denying that. But what often happens is when people take drugs, things be laced, things be stronger than they thought, things be just different from what they thought. And what more than likely happened is he knew there were going to be drugs. He wanted drugs to be and women to be involved. But once the surrounding parties saw the state he was in because of the drugs, that's when he could have potentially got taken advantage of.
I get that, but again, like he asked, like the whole tangent about it's difficult to put these on, like it's all like you talking from experience, bro. Like,
Yeah,
like
right.
this wasn't just an isolated thing. This is like completely
Hey, man.
irrelevant. But I just found it.
Yeah, it's like, why do you know that they're difficult to put them on if you were black out?
exactly.
Well, like, maybe he's just been around women that were putting them on, but I'm not here to defend anybody here. Hey, man.
2024, you could just own it.
Jesus, Joseph and Mary.
Could have back in 2009. Never know.
All right.